everyone, it's Liz here. So this is the last instalment of my mental health videos. In this video I'm going to be talking about my recovery, how I recovered and everything like that, and where the help is out there, if any. If you missed my first two videos, go and have a look up here at the first one, and then you'll probably see the links to the second one in that as well. But it makes more sense if you watch them in order, just because you'll know what I'm talking about then. So those that don't know me, I've got EDS and POTS, and I've also got lots of other things wrong with me because of EDS, but I've recently, in the last 4 or 5 months, had depression and anxiety and things, and I touched on right at the end of my last video that the antidepressants I've been taking massively helped. Now, I must stress here that it's very individual. There's a lot of antidepressant medication out there. One might not work for you, one might. The reason I was put on the one I'm on, which is called metrazapine, is because you take it at night and the side effect is very severe sleeping. And like, severe sleeping, that doesn't sound right, does it? Severe tiredness. So it makes you sleep. And for me, the first time in 10 years, I have a decent night's sleep. I don't wake up in pain. I don't have insomnia. It's amazing. But it wasn't until I was put on the 30mg dose that anything changed. The initial dose, I literally had no improvement at all in feeling less depressed. So that helped. But also when I came out of hospital, I eventually got counselling. Now I have to say eventually, because it is ridiculous how hard it is to get help. They tell you need help, but getting it yourself is impossible. Like I mentioned in the last video, 111 option 2 didn't even answer for 45 minutes. We gave up. I literally didn't know where to turn. And, you know, you go to hospital or call 999, because if someone's at the point where they either want to end their life or they just feel really down and want to talk to someone, where do you go? Like, who do you talk to if you don't want to talk to your family or friends? So yeah, like I mentioned in the last video, the crisis team said they couldn't help because I was too, like, recently suicidal, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, I then tried, can't remember who, but a place that the doctor had mentioned. They also said they couldn't help. So my mum went to Mind, which we have one very near to us, and they gave some leaflets and stuff like that. And at first there was one for the wellbeing service locally, and I called them and they did an assessment and put me on a waiting list. And then I also filled in the Mind counselling form online, and they called me only about a week later, saying, you know, what it means, what they do, that I'd be put on a waiting list and called when I was at the top of the waiting list. And I think because I was so severely down and depressed, I got to that quite quickly. So I started off with phone counselling with Insight, which is like a mental health wellbeing, the ones I said, the first ones I got to. But I didn't find it useful at all. I found that it was literally me telling them how I felt and my day and what I'd done, and they didn't really give me any advice on how to cope with anything. And I was feeling very anxious because I'd been in like a recluse for like months. I felt anxious about going out. I felt self-conscious about all this, like swelling. I felt just anxious and not myself. And ways of coping, like if I had another letdown, how would I cope? Like, I didn't want to go down the dark path anymore. I wanted to like be productive and make myself feel better, because the medication had boosted my mood and things were going well and all that. So anyway, I was having that, but last week I had an assessment with Mind. They come to your house if you need to, because I was like stuck in the house, and I can go out a little bit now, but I don't like going out for long because my stomach's bad and not many places are wheelchair accessible. So yeah. So anyway, I had an assessment with Mind, told them all the issues, because they need to work out what help is best to suit you. and I told them I had CBT in the past and I really found it helpful. And they said I could have that again if I wanted, but there's also like counselling and there's other things, and they can do all of them if you want. But you get 6 sessions and then you get re-evaluated, and if you need more sessions you can have another 6. If you don't need them, you don't have to have any more. But they report back to your GP because your GP needs to know what's going on. So I started this week with my first counselling with Mind, and I found that so useful. They've identified so many things that now make sense, like why I was triggered and why I felt certain ways and things like that. I don't really want to go into all that, but they were really good. But they said you shouldn't be having 2 different kinds of counselling at the same time. So I cancelled the phone one because I found it no use at all. And Mind had been great. And so basically I'm now at stage, I haven't felt suicidal since February. I am feeling much more productive and logical if a problem arises. So the most recent one, for example, is I had a letter from my cardiologist, and he'd mentioned a really key thing in one of my appointments about a medication that I needed to restart, Midodrine, as most of you know. I was on it for like 8 years and came off it because I didn't know if it was really helping anymore. And then once I've been off it 3 months, I was like way worse. I need to go back on it. And I spent a year battling with my neurologist who won't prescribe it anymore. I don't know why. He's just being annoying. And so my cardiologist agreed I should go back on it, but didn't put it in the clinic letter, which is a real bugbear of mine. I think a lot of you will identify with it. If it's not in the letter, the GP doesn't believe you and needs it in writing, and trying to get that in writing takes forever. So I wrote to my cardiologist's secretary to say, please, can you mention this, and can he write an addendum to the letter to put it to my GP? So I did that, but it's taken me, I had the letter for about 2 weeks, and it's taken me till yesterday to do it. So I'm still in the state of not wanting to deal with things. Like I've got emails to send from like about a month ago. And I've just been like, oh, I really can't be bothered to do anything. I'm so exhausted from everything I've been through. I'm still in pain in my neck. I still have all the Sjorgen's symptoms. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's spelled Sjorgens. It doesn't sound as it's spelled, but it's a bit like lupus. It's like the little sister to lupus. It's not as severe and as bad, but it's still horrible. And I don't know my results, but anyway, because we have because we have a crisis plan now, if I ever was to feel suicidal again, we know what to do. I would call the Samaritans, just because I find talking to somebody who believes me helps. I think that's a huge issue with us with EDS and POTS. Someone at some stage has been not believed, whether it's gastro, EDS, POTS, anything, or any chronic illness, MS, I don't know, Chiari, ME, CFS, Parkinson's, anything. You are not believed, or you are, misdiagnosed, or something like that has happened. And if you have that over and over and over and over and over again, you feel defeated and feel like giving up. And that's why my depression started. So in my sessions, we talk about why I feel that way. Your thoughts and your feelings are separate, blah, blah, blah. And we've discovered that I have generalized anxiety disorder, which I didn't even realize, but it makes so much sense because I've always been an anxious person when I was younger, and just generally because I'm not very confident in my image, my self-image, my self-confidence isn't very good. And then when I got diagnosed with EDS, as I mentioned in the first video, I was just angry and didn't know how to control my emotions. And I've always been a fairly sensitive person and emotional. And I think you don't have to be a certain type of person to have mental health issues. You don't have to be super sensitive or super angry. And the thing that annoys me the most is that I am always told, if I tell someone about my depression, I'm told, I never would have known. And I'm thinking, how would you know? How does somebody who's depressed look depressed? I mean, literally, do they expect you to walk around crying and sobbing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? or look sad. Yeah, Mo agrees. Or look sad, or have a big thing on your face saying, I am depressed, like I have depression or whatever. And it really annoys me because that is a big misconception that people look like that. I know people without EDS who had depression, and I've not known until they've opened up about it years later. And I do think to myself, well, I wouldn't have known, but it's something you hide. You don't want to talk about it. If someone like knows you're depressed, you don't want to be like talking about why, because it makes you feel worse. It reminds you why you're depressed. So yeah, that is like really annoying. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that now my neck's getting better through my own stuff. I've been doing my own physio. I've been taking my own pain relief up until last week when the dispersible paracetamol was finally prescribed. I basically off my own back contacted Mind. So really, none of the things that have made me better have been through medical people. It's all been down to me, which I just still find disgusting and awful, that in this day and age, in 2019, that there is no support really for mental health that is easy to access. You have to go around the houses and you have to call a gazillion people before you get listened to and get something done. And the waiting times are horrifically long sometimes. I was very lucky because I think I was so bad. But you can wait up to 12 weeks. And if you're depressed, like, you could not be there by 12 weeks. You might not even, I don't know. It's just horrible. So I think it's important we talk about it. I think it's important we open up about it. I don't think it should be a taboo subject. Depression in chronic health especially is there. And even my EDS doctor, when I saw her at the end of February, said that they're doing a lot of new research into it because so many people, or so many of her patients with EDS, have depression or mental health issues. And that's not a coincidence. That is because something's triggered it. Whether you've got family to look after and you can't because you're too ill, or whether you can't get the medication you need, or you can't get the appointments you need, or doctors are telling you that you're like a hypochondriac, whatever, something triggers you. And my trigger is doctors not doing their jobs properly and not acting on things and all of that. So I hope these series of videos have helped some of you to know you're not alone. There is help out there. I should put a link in the description below of all the places that have helped me if you are considering getting help for yourself. If you're at the stage where you don't want help, then I would say persevere. I would say find just one person who's willing to listen, even if it's me. Even if you message me, that's a start, because you need to tell somebody. And I didn't even realise I was depressed until my GP said I was. And my husband had noticed a bit, but he didn't really know because I'd hidden it so well. But it needs to be talked about. It needs to be sorted. And yeah, I'm just glad I feel a lot better. The next step, of course, once I finish the counselling and once I've got results to know if all of this has been going on since October, there is something there or there's something wrong, then that would be good. Also, to eventually come off the antidepressants will be the biggest step, because I don't want to be on them forever. I was only on them because of everything that's happened, and if I can physically get better, I will mentally get better. So, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. So stay strong, believe that it will get better, because it will, and don't let anyone tell you that it won't, because they're lying. So please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. Comment if you want to know anything else. I'm really open to talk about what I've been through. So and I'm not saying I'm cured, because I'm not. Nowhere near, but I'm a lot better. So I hope you're all okay, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.